Good morning, church family. I hope that you are doing well. We are doing well, and we hope to see you real soon. And so this morning, as we dive into our communion thought, I want to read a song to you, some lyrics from a song. I tried to get into this video and just wasn't able to do it. So if you want to look it up, you can look it up. If not, you just listen as I kind of read it to you. It's called "Run to the Father" by Cody Carnes. It says, "I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. So I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again." This is the part I want to focus on. It says, "You saw my condition and had a plan from the start. Your son for redemption, the price for my heart. And I don't have a context for that kind of love. I don't understand, I can't comprehend. All I know is I need you. So I run to the Father again and again." And so this part of the song is in that middle. It says, "You knew my condition from the you saw my condition and had a plan from the start." And as we dive into communion today, as we think about the sacrifice that God made by sending His Son to die on the cross for our sins, it's this idea that God saw our condition. He knew the sins that we were going to make. He knew everything that we were going to struggle with and fail with, but He said, "I have a plan. I have a plan." So this morning I want to dive into a verse that's probably one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. It's in Malachi chapter 3. And Malachi is kind of it is at the end of the Old Testament. And in verse 3, there's this really cool verse that I love to hear. It says, "He will sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver. He will purify and refine like gold and silver." And so again, it's this message that God sees our condition and he already has a plan. Because one of the things a refiner does, the word refine literally means to remove all impurities and imperfections. And so the work of a refiner is to take anything and remove the imperfections and to remove the impurities. And so typically if you think of a refiner, you may think of silver or gold. And if you haven't, look up a picture of what a piece of silver looks like before it's refined. It's not pretty. It's rough. It has rough edges. It has some dark spots. It's not that, doesn't look that valuable. Instead, it just kind of looks like a beaten up rock. But a refiner takes that piece of material and he goes out and mines that material because he knows that there's some sort of value in it. And then he takes it and places it in a fire and he melts away all of the imperfections and the impurities. And then it turns out to look like that nice piece of shiny silver that we love to spend thousands of dollars on. But what's so cool about this verse is that it says that God will sit as the refiner. And so if God is the refiner, that means that we are the material. And so this morning, as we think about communion and you think about the bread and you think about the cup, I want you to think about this idea that God saw your condition. He saw you at your stage of life when you were rough, just like that piece of silver before it's been refined. You maybe had rough edges. You had some dark spots. You were beaten up a little bit because of the sin that we all struggle with. But what's so awesome about that verse is that it says that God will work to purify us, to refine us. And what that means is that He is going to work to remove all of our imperfections and to remove all of our impurities and to make us new. And that's exactly what He did when He sent His Son to die on the cross for us. God saw our state and He knew that we were in a sinful nature and that we were stuck in sin and that we needed a plan and we needed to be refined in some way or another. And so He sent His Son to die on the cross. And so this morning, as you take the bread and you take the cup, I hope that you can be reminded that even in your rough stage, even when you were just, that unrefined piece of silver, God says, "You know what? You're valuable. I have a plan." He knew your condition. It didn't matter how sinful you were. He said, "I have a plan to make this better," and He sent His Son. So this morning, I hope that you can rejoice and have true joy as you take the communion, knowing that God sees you as valuable. Even though you might have had a rough stage, or even though you might have fallen into sin, or even though we make mistakes daily, God looks at us and says, you are valuable. I hope you have a great week, guys, and enjoy time with your family. See you next week.